Hey, this is Lee Swan with Swan Landscape and Irrigation. And I wanted to start on this design process, the design series of videos. And so we have to start somewhere. And so I thought we'd start at the very beginning. And so you got to kind of make a commitment to not get easily distracted. So we're going to stay focused. And so I'm going to try to stay focused. And the very first thing we have to understand is, what is static pressure? And so static pressure is the pressure that's within a system when the water's not moving. Okay, and so let's take the water tower and the city water supply as a system. Okay, so in the old days, before there were pumping stations, you had a big water tower out. So you're moving out onto the plains, you're pulling up in your cart and horse, and got your gear on the back, and your family's back there, and you're pulling into town. There's a general store and a bar, bat wing doors on it, and there's a water tower there. And that's where their water's stored at. So somehow they pump that water up into that tower. Say it's 100 feet up. Big, giant tower. You see them in every town in the South for sure. And so probably all over the country. But the thing is that water is sitting, say, 100 feet off the ground. And for each foot of elevation that water is sitting above the ground, it's pushing down 0.433 pounds to sea level. So if it's 100 feet of elevation, at sea level, the water coming out of the pipe right there at the base of that tower, it's got 43 pounds of pressure behind it. 43.3 pounds of pressure behind it. Okay? So when we talk about static pressure, that's pressure of water that's static. It's not moving. So dynamic pressure is the pressure of water as it's moving through a system at different points. And what we're most concerned about is at the last head on our system. So we're assuming that, so without getting into what kind of pressure we need and what kind of friction loss we're going to have between pipes, we just got to understand that static pressure. And that's what it is. So static pressure is the pressure of water in a system. Okay, and it's only going to be based on if it's being pumped to you. Of course it is now, because there's pumping stations everywhere, and that increases the pressure. In order to get water out to a large town, the tower would have to be 10,000 feet high. And so, but just understanding that basic concept of the water tower and elevation and water moving out through a system. And so that's the very first thing, is understanding what static pressure is. So static pressure, again, is the water stationary or not moving within a system. So it doesn't matter where I'm at within that system, as long as I'm at the same, without accounting for changes in elevation. So if we're on a flat ground, the tower is over there. Even if I'm 500 yards away or a mile away or 2 miles away, if I put a pressure gauge on that system at a hose bib, and the water's not moving anywhere in that system, that's how much pressure I'm going to have. I'm going to have 43.3 pounds of pressure. Anywhere within that system, as long as the elevation. So if I change the elevation up, that's going to reduce the amount of pressure. If the elevation goes down, that's going to change the pressure too. But it's static. It's not moving. It's constant. Okay? So that's the very first thing we got to understand, is static pressure. So that's the first thing that you're going to do when you walk out to your house. You're going to need to get a pressure gauge, and you're going to make sure the water's not running in your house anywhere. You're going to take that pressure gauge and put it on your hose bib, and you're going to turn the water on. And so it's going to say 50 pounds or 60 pounds or 70 pounds or whatever it might be. But that right there is the first limiting factor that we're going to have in our system. So that is a limiting